Every day, we make decisions that define who we are. Not just the big life-changing choices, but the small, seemingly insignificant habits. These daily practices shape our resilience, our strength, and ultimately our ability to endure when life gets tough. So how do we build a mindset that doesn't break under pressure? It starts with purpose, not just discipline. If you wake up every day forcing yourself to do something because you have to, you will eventually burn out. But when your actions are tied to something bigger, a mission, a belief, a cause, you'll find the strength to keep going, even on the hardest days. Second, embrace the hard things first. Our natural instinct is to avoid discomfort, but the strongest people train themselves to run toward it. The hardest conversations, the most challenging tasks, do them first. Not only does this build confidence, but it also conditions you to see challenges as opportunities, not threats. But let's be honest, difficult moments will come. When they do, your mindset determines how you respond. That's why you must master the art of reframing. Instead of seeing failure as proof that you're not good enough, see it as feedback. Instead of seeing obstacles as setbacks, recognize them as stepping stones. The way you interpret events shapes your resilience. And here's the truth, you cannot do this alone. Who you surround yourself with matters more than you think. The people in your life either lift you up or pull you down. If you want to build an unbreakable mindset, surround yourself with those who push you, challenge you, and believe in you. Finally, if there's one rule to remember, it's this: consistency beats intensity every time. Motivation fades, energy fluctuates. But habits, they stick. The people who succeed in the long run are the ones who show up day after day, regardless of how they feel. Building an unbreakable mindset isn't about being fearless. It's about facing fear and doing it anyway. It's about showing up, pushing through, and never losing sight of why you started. Do this and nothing, not failure, not doubt, not fear, can break you. We often hear that discipline is the key to success. That if we just force ourselves to wake up early, hit the gym, read more books, or grind through the hard work, we will eventually become unstoppable. And while discipline is important, it is not the foundation of an unbreakable mindset. It's not what keeps people going when things get tough. If it were, then everyone who started a new habit with discipline alone would succeed. But we know that's not the case. Most people give up. They start strong, fueled by motivation, but over time, the excitement fades. The early morning workouts turn into snoozed alarms. The commitment to personal growth turns into excuses. Not because they lack discipline, but because they lack something deeper: purpose. The truth is, discipline alone is fragile. It's like a battery. It only lasts for so long before it runs out. But purpose is a generator. It keeps going. It provides an endless source of energy, something deeper than just willpower. And when you tie your daily actions to a purpose that matters to you, something incredible happens. What once felt like a core becomes a mission. What once required discipline now feels automatic, even necessary. Think about the people who wake up at 4 a.m. to train for a marathon, not because they have to, but because they've tied that habit to something greater, a desire to prove something to themselves, to honor someone they love, or to push the limits of what they thought was possible. You think about the entrepreneur who works late into the night, not because they love the exhaustion, but because they are building something they truly believe in. Or the single parent who works 2 jobs and still finds the energy to support their children, not because they're superhuman, but because their purpose is bigger than their fatigue. When you connect your daily practices to a purpose, you no longer need to rely on motivation. The work becomes a necessity, like breathing. You don't need to convince yourself to do it, you just do it. Because deep down, you know why it matters. But let's break this down further. How do you actually find and connect with that purpose? It starts with asking yourself a simple but powerful question: why does this matter to me? But not why it matters to society, not why someone else thinks it's important, but why it truly matters to you. Take any habit or practice you want to build, whether it's waking up early or exercising, reading, working on a passion project, and ask yourself why it's important. And then, when you get that answer, ask why again and again. Keep going deeper until you hit something real, something emotional. Because purpose is emotional. It's not just logic. It's the feeling that makes your heart beat faster. The thought that brings tears to your eyes, the belief that makes you push forward, even when everything inside you wants to quit. Let's say you want to start exercising daily. At first, your reason might be, I want to be healthier. That's fine, but it's not strong enough. Why do you want to be healthier? Maybe you say, because I want to feel better about myself. Why does that matter? Because I want to have more confidence. Why? Because I want to show up in the world as my best self for my family, for my dreams. Now, that is purpose. That is something that will carry you through the days when you don't feel like doing it. Or maybe you're working on a business, but you're struggling to stay motivated. If your reason is just to make money, that motivation will fade the moment things get hard. But if your real reason is, I want to create something that changes lives. I want to leave a legacy. I want to build something that outlives me. Now you have something deeper. Now you have something that will keep you moving forward even when the setbacks come, because they will come. This is why so many people struggle with consistency. They're forcing themselves to do things they think they should do instead of things they are truly connected to. But when you find that connection, when your daily actions are tied to something that truly matters, you no longer need external motivation. The work becomes internalized. Now, let's talk about what happens when you don't have this deep connection. When you rely only on discipline, you begin to resent the work. You feel like you're constantly forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. And eventually you stop, you burn out, because willpower alone is not sustainable. But when you shift your mindset and focus on why you're doing something, everything changes. Think about a firefighter running into a burning building. Are they doing it because they force themselves to be disciplined? No, they are doing it because they have a purpose saving lives. That purpose overrides fear. That purpose makes them take action when most people would run the other way. The same principle applies to everything we do. Purpose turns fear into action. Purpose turns discipline into devotion. Purpose makes the impossible feel possible. So if you want to build an unbreakable mindset, stop relying solely on discipline. Discipline is the tool, but purpose is the fuel. Take a look at your daily habits and ask yourself, are these habits connected to something that truly matters to me? If the answer is no, then dig deeper. Find the reason, find the purpose. Because when you do, everything changes. The struggle becomes meaningful. The hard days become part of the journey, not obstacles in the way. And most importantly, you stop questioning whether you can keep going, because deep down you already know you will. Every day we are faced with choices. Some are easy, comfortable, and familiar. Others are difficult, uncomfortable, and push us beyond what we think we're capable of. The difference between those who grow and those who stay stuck isn't intelligence, luck, or natural talent. It's a simple decision, repeated daily, choosing to embrace the hard things first. Most people avoid discomfort. It's human nature. We procrastinate, delay, and convince ourselves that we'll deal with the tough stuff later. But later rarely comes. And when it does, we're often too drained, too distracted, or too overwhelmed to handle it properly. This is why so many people struggle with progress. It's not that they aren't capable, it's that they keep choosing what's easy over what's necessary. They start the day with the small, insignificant tasks because they feel productive. But when it's time to tackle the real challenges, they're already depleted. But there's another way. The most successful, resilient people in the world operate differently. They don't shy away from difficulty, they seek it out. They train themselves to face the hard things first, not because they enjoy discomfort, but because they understand what it creates: growth, strength, and the ability to handle anything life throws at them. Think about the way most people approach their mornings. The alarm goes off and the first battle begins. Hit snooze or get up. Most people choose the easier option. It feels good in the moment, but it sets the tone for the entire day, one of avoidance rather than action. But those who commit to doing the hard things first don't negotiate with themselves. They get up. They take control. And that small act of discipline builds momentum that carries into everything else. This principle applies far beyond just waking up. It applies to the difficult conversations we avoid, the big decisions we postpone, the personal growth we push aside. Every time we delay something hard, we reinforce the habit of avoidance. But every time we face it head on, we reinforce resilience. Consider the way elite athletes train. Don't focus on what's easy or comfortable. They push their limits daily. They deliberately put themselves in situations that demand more from them because they know that real strength is built in struggle. The same applies to life. If you always choose the easy path, you never get stronger. If you only do what you're good at, you never improve. But if you constantly challenge yourself, if you train your mind and body to lean into discomfort, then what once seemed impossible becomes second nature. But let's be honest, doing the hard things first isn't natural. It requires a shift in mindset. Instead of dreading the challenge, you have to start seeing it as an opportunity. Instead of viewing discomfort as something to avoid, you have to recognize it as a sign that you're grown. One way to make this shift is to change your language. Instead of saying, I have to do this, say, I get to do this. Instead of thinking, this is going to be painful, think, this is going to make me better. Words shape perspective, and perspective shapes action. The more you frame hard things as opportunities rather than burdens, the easier they become. Another way to train yourself for this mindset is through small daily wins. Start with something simple. Take a cold shower. Not because you have to, but because it's uncomfortable. Because it teaches your mind to accept difficulty rather than resist it. Or take on the most difficult task on your to-do list first thing in the morning before anything else. Not only does this free up mental space for the rest of the day, but it also builds confidence. Every time you face something hard and push through, you prove to yourself that you can. And this confidence compounds. When you repeatedly choose the hard things, you start to see yourself differently. You stop questioning whether you can handle challenges because you already know you can. You stop fearing obstacles because you've trained yourself to overcome them. And eventually you develop an unshakable belief in your own ability to handle anything. But here's the most important part. This mindset doesn't just help you succeed, it makes life easier in the long run. Avoiding difficult things might feel good in the moment, but it creates bigger problems down the road. Putting off a tough conversation only makes it more stressful later. Ignoring your health today only makes it harder to fix tomorrow. Avoidance doesn't eliminate difficulty, it just postpones it. On the other hand, when you train yourself to take on challenges immediately, you remove stress before it has a chance to build. You deal with problems while they're small, rather than letting them turn into something overwhelming. You free yourself from the mental burden of unfinished tasks and unresolved issues. And most importantly, you build a mindset that is unbreakable. The best part, the more you do this, the easier it gets. What once felt impossible becomes routine. The tasks that used to scare you become manageable. And before you know it, you're no longer the kind of person who hesitates, you're the kind of person who acts. So if you want to build a mindset that can withstand anything, start today. Identify the hardest thing on your plate and tackle it first, not later, not when it's convenient. Now, because every time you do, you're not just completing a task, you're building the kind of resilience that lasts a lifetime. Life is not about what happens to us, but how we interpret what happens to us. Two people can go through the exact same experience, one crumbles, while the other rises stronger. The difference is not in the event itself, but in the way they see it. This is why mastering the art of reframing is one of the most powerful tools you can develop. It's not just about thinking positively. It's about taking control of your perspective so that nothing can break you. Reframing is the ability to take any situation, especially difficult ones, and find a way to make them work for you instead of against you. It's the skill that allows you to take failure and turn it into feedback. It helps you see rejection not as a sign that you aren't good enough, but as proof that you are pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. It allows you to take setbacks and use them as fuel for growth instead of reasons to quit. Most people see challenges as obstacles. They get stuck in the mindset of, why is this happening to me? They focus on what's wrong, what's unfair, and what they wish were different. But the strongest people, those with an unbreakable mindset, ask a different question. How can this serve me? Instead of seeing adversity as something that is happening to them, they see it as something that is happening for them. Imagine two people losing their jobs. One person panics, falls into self-doubt, and sees it as proof that they are not valuable. They spiral into frustration, anger, and fear. The other person facing the same situation reframes it. They see it as an opportunity to finally pursue something they've always wanted to do. They recognize that while the situation is difficult, it is also opening doors they never would have considered otherwise. The event is the same, but the outcome is completely different because of how they chose to see it. Reframing is not about ignoring reality. It's not about pretending that hard things aren't hard. It's about choosing a perspective that empowers you rather than weakens you. It's about recognizing that while you may not control every situation, you always control the meaning you assign to it. This skill is especially important when dealing with failure. Most people fear failure because they believe it defines them. They see it as proof that they are not good enough, that they should quit, or that they will never succeed. But those who master the art of reframing see failure differently. They don't see it as a stop sign, they see it as data. Every failure is information. It's feedback that tells you what didn't work so you can adjust and try again. When you learn to see failure as part of the process rather than the end of the road, you become unstoppable. Think about the most successful people in any field. They have all failed many times, but they didn't let those failures define them. Instead, they reframed them. They saw every setback as a step forward, every rejection as redirection, and every obstacle as a lesson. This mindset is what allows them to keep going long after others have quit. One of the best ways to train yourself to reframe is to start questioning your automatic thoughts. When something goes wrong, pay attention to the story you are telling yourself. Are you immediately assuming the worst? Are you making it personal? Are you focusing only on the negative? If so, challenge that story. Ask yourself, is there another way to see this? What lesson can I take from this? How can this make me better? These simple shifts in thinking can completely change how you experience difficulty. Another way to build this skill is to deliberately seek out challenges. When you expose yourself to discomfort on purpose, you train your mind to handle setbacks with resilience. This is why athletes push themselves beyond their limits in training, why entrepreneurs take risks despite uncertainty, and why those who succeed in life are often the ones who have faced the most adversity. They have built the muscle of reframing through experience. But this isn't just about big moments of struggle. Reframing is something you can practice every single day. When you're stuck in traffic, instead of getting frustrated, see it as a chance to slow down and think. When you have a tough conversation, instead of dreading it, see it as an opportunity to grow in communication. When plans don't go your way, instead of focusing on what you lost, look for what you gained. Every single day, life gives us chances to reframe, to take control of our perspective, and to train our minds to see challenges as opportunities. The best part, the more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you will start to instinctively reframe situations rather than defaulting to frustration or negativity. You will become the kind of person who doesn't just survive difficulties, but thrives because of them. You will develop a mindset that no setback, no failure, no obstacle can break because you have trained yourself to see everything as a tool for growth. At the end of the day, life is not about avoiding hardship, it's about learning how to turn hardship into strength. The way you see the world determines what you get out of it. So choose wisely. Choose to see challenges as lessons. Choose to see failure as a stepping stone. Choose to take control of your perspective. And in doing so, you will take control of your life. No one succeeds alone. No one builds something great in isolation. The people you surround yourself with shape your mindset, your habits, and ultimately your future. If you want to build an unbreakable mindset, you have to be intentional about who you allow into your life, because the truth is, environment is stronger than willpower. It's easy to believe that we can be immune to the influence of others, that we can stay focused no matter who is around us. But human beings are wired for connection. Whether we realize it or not, we absorb the energy, beliefs, and behaviors of the people we spend the most time with. If you are surrounded by people who make excuses, who complain, who settle for mediocrity, then even if you are highly motivated, over time that mindset will start to infect you. But if you surround yourself with people who challenge you, who push you, who refuse to let you stay comfortable, then growth becomes inevitable. Think about it like this. If you put a strong person in a weak environment, the environment will eventually win. No matter how disciplined or determined someone is, if they are constantly surrounded by negativity, by people who doubt them, by an atmosphere that breeds complacency, their strength will slowly fade. But if you take that same person and put them in a room full of people who are driven, who think big, who hold themselves to high standards, then that person will rise to meet those expectations. This is why the most successful people in the world are extremely careful about who they spend time with. They don't just let anyone into their circle. They actively seek out people who challenge them, who make them better, who hold them accountable. They understand that growth is not just about personal effort, it's about the environment that surrounds that effort. One of the most powerful things you can do for your mindset is to audit your circle. Ask yourself, who do I spend the most time with? Do they encourage my growth or hold me back? Do they inspire me or drain me? Do they challenge me to become better, or do they keep me stuck where I am? The answers to these questions matter more than you think. Because over time, you will become like the people you are around the most. But this isn't just about removing negative influences, it's about actively seeking out the right ones. If you want to grow, surround yourself with people who are already where you want to be. If you want to build resilience, spend time with people who have overcome adversity. If you want to develop discipline, learn from those who have mastered it. Success leaves clues, and the fastest way to level up is to put yourself in environments where success is the standard. It doesn't always have to be people you know personally. In today's world, you have access to the minds of some of the greatest thinkers, leaders, and visionaries through books, podcasts, and online communities. If you don't have a strong support system around you right now, start by immersing yourself in the thoughts and ideas of those who can push you forward. Read the biographies of people who have built something great. Listen to the words of those who have overcome struggle. Learn from the best, even if you can't be around them in person. Because what you consume mentally is just as important as who you interact with physically. At the same time, understand that not everyone in your life is meant to continue the journey with you. Growth often requires outgrowing certain relationships. This can be difficult, especially when it involves people you care about. But if someone is constantly bringing you down, filling your mind with doubt, or discouraging your progress, you have to make a choice. Either you let their negativity slow you down, or you create distance and protect your energy. It doesn't mean you have to cut people out harshly, but it does mean you have to be mindful of how much influence they have over you. This also applies to how you show up for others. If you want to attract the right people into your life, you have to be the kind of person that others want to be around. Be the friend who supports, who pushes, who inspires. Be the one who challenges excuses and encourages growth. When you operate at a high level, you naturally attract others who do the same. It's also important to understand that the right people won't always tell you what you want to hear, but they will tell you what you need to hear. They won't just make you feel good, they will push you to be better. They will call you out when you're making excuses, they will challenge you when we're playing small, and they will expect more from you than you expect from yourself. That kind of accountability is priceless. It's uncomfortable at times, but it's exactly what's needed to grow. Think about the greatest athletes, the most successful entrepreneurs, the highest achievers in any field. None of them got there alone. They had mentors, coaches, teams, and a circle of people who demanded excellence from them. They had people who pushed them beyond their limits, who held them to a higher standard, who refused to let them settle. And because of that, they became unbreakable. So if you want to build a mindset that can withstand anything, start with your environment. Surround yourself with people who challenge you. Seek out those who are further ahead than you and learn from them. Be intentional about the conversations you have, the energy you allow in your space, and the standards you hold yourself to. Because at the end of the day, your mindset is not just shaped by what you do, it's shaped by who you do it with. Consistency is the foundation of every great achievement. It's not the grand gestures, the one-time bursts of motivation, or the occasional effort that builds an unbreakable mindset. It's the small, disciplined actions repeated every single day. Even when no one is watching, even when you don't feel like it. Most people wait for inspiration to strike before they take action. They rely on motivation, believing that if they feel energized and excited, they'll do what needs to be done. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Some days you wake up ready to take on the world, and other days you don't feel like doing anything at all. If you only take action when you feel like it, you'll never achieve anything meaningful. The people who accomplish the most in life aren't the ones who always feel motivated. They are the ones who have trained themselves to take action regardless of how they feel. Discipline is what separates those who succeed from those who struggle. It's the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't want to do it. It's showing up when it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when it's uncomfortable. And the more you practice discipline, the stronger it becomes. Think about a professional athlete. They don't train only when they feel like it. They don't skip workouts because they're tired or wait until they're in the mood to practice. They have a routine and they follow it no matter what. It's the same with great writers, musicians, entrepreneurs, and leaders. They don't rely on fleeting emotions, they rely on habits. The challenge for most people is that they expect results too quickly. They put in effort for a short time, and when they don't see immediate progress, they get frustrated and quit. But real success isn't built overnight. It's built in the small, consistent actions that compound over time. The workout you do today might not show results immediately, but over months and years, it transforms your body. The book you read today might not change your life instantly, but over time, it reshapes your thinking. The business you start today might not be profitable right away, but if you keep showing up, keep improving, keep refining, it will grow. Consistency isn't about intensity, it's about persistence. Most people go all in for a short period and then burn out. They push themselves too hard, expecting quick rewards, and when they don't see them, they stop. But true resilience comes from steady, relentless progress. It's about committing to the process, even when the results aren't immediately visible. One of the biggest myths about discipline is that it requires extreme willpower. But in reality, discipline is not about forcing yourself to be strong all the time. It's about removing the need for willpower altogether. The best way to stay consistent is to design your environment in a way that makes good decisions automatic. If you want to work out consistently, set out your workout clothes the night before. If you want to eat healthier, remove junk food from your home. If you want to read more, keep books in places where you can see them. Discipline isn't about resisting temptation, it's about eliminating it. Another powerful way to build consistency is to start small. Too many people set massive goals and then get overwhelmed. They try to change everything at once, and when it becomes too hard to sustain, they give up entirely. But the key to lasting change is to start with something so small that you can't fail. Instead of trying to work out for an hour a day, commit to 5 minutes. Instead of trying to write a book in a month, commit to writing 1 paragraph a day. Once you master the small habit, you can build on it. The goal is not to do something once it's to make it a part of who you are. Your identity is shaped by what you do consistently. Every action you take is a vote for the person you are becoming. If you exercise every day, you start to see yourself as a fit person. If you write every day, you start to see yourself as a writer. If you show up consistently for your goals, you start to see yourself as someone who follows through. The most powerful way to change your life is to change what you do daily. But consistency isn't just about what you do, it's also about how you think. Developing an unbreakable mindset means training your mind to stay focused on the long game. It means understanding that setbacks are part of the process, that progress isn't always linear, and that the most important thing is to keep going. Too many people quit because they expect the path to success to be smooth. But the reality is there will be obstacles. There will be days when you feel stuck, when nothing seems to be working, when doubt creeps in. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never struggle, they are the ones who refuse to stop. One of the best ways to maintain consistency is to track your progress. When you measure what you do, you stay accountable. Even small wins add up over time, and seeing your progress keeps you motivated. Whether it's tracking your workouts, your daily writing, your reading habits, or any other goal, having a system in place keeps you committed. And finally, consistency requires patience. In a world that glorifies instant results, patience is a superpower. The most valuable things in life take time to build. The greatest achievements come from years of effort, learning, and refinement. If you want to build something meaningful, whether it's a career, a skill, a strong mindset, or a great life, you have to be willing to play the long game. The key is to trust the process, to show up every day, even when progress is invisible, to put in the work, even when you don't feel like it, to understand that every small action repeated over time leads to massive transformation. This is how you build resilience. This is how you become unbreakable.